Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 2. I am Beto O'Brien coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakoruan. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari arrives in Madrid to meet with Spanish President. PDP presents certificates of return to Atiku today. US to send long-range rockets to Ukraine in latest aid package. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First on our news this afternoon, President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived in Spain on a state visit at the invitation of the country's President Pedro Sanchez, the first by the Nigerian leader. His special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, had hinted in a statement that President Buhari would hold separates with President Sanchez and the head of state of the Spanish nation, King Felipe VI, during the visit. During Buhari's engagement with both leaders, he is expected We do apologize for that break in transmission. You're watching the news on Spectrum Television at this hour. And now to stories making this bulletin. President Muhammadu Buhari has disclosed his criteria for the ideal presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress (APC) in the 2023 election. The president made the disclosure while meeting with APC governors in Abuja. In a statement signed by the presidential spokesperson, Femi Adesina, Buhari said the objective must be the victory of the party and the choice of candidates must be someone who would give the Nigerian masses a sense of victory and confidence even before the elections. Recall that the APC commenced the screening of its presidential candidates on Monday and is expected to hold a convention between June 6 and 8, where the candidate is to emerge. Away from that, the federal government has commenced distribution of ATM cards to beneficiaries of the Household Uplifting Program in Kwara State. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Farouk, announced this through the National Cash Transfer Program Coordinator, Halima Shehu. The head of Unit Kwara State Cash Transfer Unit, KWSTU, Dr. Amina Yahaya, who flagged off the distribution in Ilorin, explained that the exercise heralded the completion of the digitalization of payment system, noting that there are 34,293 beneficiaries across the 16 local government areas of Kwara, with Ilorin West used as the pilot scheme. She warned them not to disclose their card details to anyone either on phone or physically to avoid being scammed. Away from that, the federal government has said that it is collaborating with the World Health Organization (WHO) and the United States Center for Disease Control to see how Nigeria can access the global stockpile of monkeypox vaccination to arrest the outbreak of the disease. The government's move came just as the primary National Healthcare Development Agency said that it had vaccinated over 30 million persons with the first dose. It said that the figure of the vaccination dose represented 23.9% of the country's eligible population, while over 14 million persons have received their second doses. The executive director of the NPHCDA, Dr. Faisal Shuaibu, who spoke to journalists at the flag-off of the COVID-19 vaccination at community pharmacies in Abuja, said the federal government is presently emphasizing on strict observation of public health safety measures to limit the spread of monkeypox disease across the country, adding that the agency is working with the US NCDC to make sure that all the strategies to limit the spread were put in place. In a related development, the federal government has appealed to states which are either yet to domesticate or start the implementation of the Child Rights Act enacted since 2003 to do so immediately in the interest of innocent Nigerian children. The Director General of the National Council of Arts and Culture, Segun Ronsiwe, who made the appeal in Abuja at the second Abuja Stakeholders Dialogue on Curbing Sexual Violence Against Children, organized by the Hosek Foundation, explained that the domestication of the law would increase child protection and reduce the chances of child abuse in the country. Segun said 31 states have so far signed the law and appealed to the remaining 5 to do so without further delay. Away from that, the National Examination Council (NECO) has arrested a suspected fraudster, Patience Adamu, over issuance of fake employment letters. NECO spokesman Sani Aziz, in a statement, confirmed that the suspect, Patience Adamu, and a 28-year-old Alongha, her 48-year-old husband, Matthew Sampson, were arrested by the police in Minna, while other accomplices were arrested in Kaduna State. He therefore urged the public not to seek NECO jobs through a third party, stating that NECO always follows the normal channel, which includes making recruitment public through advertisements. Also speaking, Niger State Police spokesman DSP Wasiu Abiodun, who spoke during the police parade, said on the 20th of May 2022, at about 12:30 hours, based on a tip-off, police operatives attached to the Intelligence Command of of the unit swung into action and arrested the suspects. He therefore advised members of the public to be wary of job scammers and avoid being desperate for anything, including job search. Meanwhile, the suspects who spoke during the police parade in Mina said she started the business in 2020 and collected money from over 30 job seekers, adding that she charged them $500,000 each, and she made over 10 million naira from the business and acquired some landed property with some of the money. In politics, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is planning to partner Nigeria's anti-graft agencies to stop voter buying in the June 18 governorship election in Ekiti State. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu confirmed this in Ado Ekiti during a meeting with traditional rulers ahead of the election in the state. Yakubu assured the commission would not condone vote buying in the coming elections in Ekiti, as it has been observed in some primaries conducted by some political parties in the country recently. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has announced that it will present a certificate of return to the party's presidential flag bearer Abubakar Atiku today, June 1, 2022 by noon at the PDP's National Secretariat, Abuja. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Debo Olugun Nagbe, in a statement said all governors, governorship candidates, presidential aspirants, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the National Assembly, all the candidates of the party and all critical stakeholders are expected to grace the special ceremony. Recall that Atiku won the party's presidential ticket during a special national convention held in Abuja on May 28 through 29, 2022, after scoring a total of 371 votes. Still in politics, the former governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, has been screened by the All Progressive Congress APC committee screening presidential aspirants. Recall that the Federal High Court in Abuja granted Okorocha bail with a directive that he should remain in custody until the bail conditions are met. Justice Iyangi, while granting Okorocha bail, imposed a 500 million naira bail bond with one shorty in like sum who must be within the jurisdiction of the court. Justice Iyangi directed that the Federal High Court registry verify the documents of property to be presented as bail bonds. He also ordered Okorocha, who is being prosecuted by the EFCC for allegedly stealing state funds while he was governor, to deposit his international passport with the court registry. However, the former governor was able to meet the bail conditions and make it to the venue of the screening. Speaking with journalists after the screening, Okorocha said he came directly from the EFCC's custody to the venue. He also agreed with the call for a consensus candidate, noting that the consensus can only be achieved by ensuring that all aspirants are allowed to reach such agreements.
Serving senator, so the idea of running away is ruled out. He will fulfill the condition. He has never run away. Only that, like I said yesterday, he was never properly served. Before you can say he didn't come, you must have served him, but he wasn't served.
The judge, in his infinite wisdom, has granted the second defendant bail on the administrative conditions given by the EFCC. If you look at it, you see that the court was of the view that the second defendant has never defaulted in the administrative bail granted to him, and throughout the proceedings of this case, he has never absented himself.
Away from that, the fresh ban imposed on operators of commercial motorcycles, popularly called Okada, in 6 local governments and 9 local government council development areas by Lagos State's Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu takes effect today. Recall that Governor Sanwo-Olu had on May 18, 2022, announced the ban at a meeting with the State Commissioner of Police, area commanders, and divisional police officers at the State House in Alausa. Effective from June 1, 2022, the governor directed security operatives to enforce the prescription order across the councils to include Etiosa, Ikeja, Surulere, Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, and Apapa. Meanwhile, as the enforcement begins, the Lagos State Ferry Service says it has deployed more boats and increased daily operational trips at the terminals and jetties located within the area in the state where activities of commercial motorcyclists have been banned. The head public affairs, Lag Ferry, Akim Odusanya, made this known in a statement made available to newsmen, saying the terminals and jetties include the Badore Terminal Badore, Ipakodu Terminal Ikorodu, 5 Cowries Terminal Ikoyi, CMS/Victoria Island Terminal, Liverpool Terminal, Apapa, and Ilaje Bariga Terminal, Bariga. Back here on news from the home front, the Akwa Ibom State Governor and one of the presidential aspirants in the just concluded primaries of the People's Democratic Party PDP, Udom Emmanuel, has appealed to other aspirants and party faithfuls to come together as a team and work for the success of the party to take center stage come 2023. Governor Emmanuel, who stated this shortly after his arrival to a rousing welcome by millions of Akwa Ibom people, appreciated the people for their support to his ambition. According to him, there was need for the people to unite as all interests will be accommodated when the party succeeds in the next year's general election. On his performance in the last 7 years as the governor of the state, Government House correspondent Jane Owa reports the Governor Emmanuel noted that he was extremely satisfied by his performance in all areas, expressing optimism that his government will end well and strong next year.
You know, in this life, if you don't say, oh, this is where I am, nobody will say that's where you are. I think over the time, we're tired of being behind, supporting others. We also need to be supported by others too. That's the message. While I was vying to contest for the primaries, I made one thing clear, that I'm only making myself available if God wants to use me, our partner, to rescue and restore Nigeria. But the situation that we have right now needs somebody who is creative, who has the capacity, who has the exposure, who has the knowledge, who has the sincerity of purpose, and also who has the love for the people to actually get this done. We can't be challenged all the time about leadership in Nigeria when there are a whole lot of people. But I'm happy, PDP, I said so over and over again, all of us that went in for the primaries in PDP, all of us are capable to take Nigeria out of where we are right now. So that's why I'm happy. I can only make an appeal that all of us can come back as a team to actually work for the party, for the success of the party. Once the party takes the center stage, I'm sure each and every one of us will have a whole lot to contribute. The whole issue is not about the quest. It's not just about our selfish interests. It's just about the generations yet unborn. I think that's why we are coming out to tell Nigerians that we are ready to salvage the situation. Just take all the 36 states of this federation, compare with what is on ground. Then let's compare notes. You see, you must compare apple with apple. I mean, oranges with oranges. So let's just bring the 36 states in the past 7 years and then put it on ground. Let's see what we've done. Economically, putting things on ground, the foundation of what will actually bring back the economic growth of this state. I mean, we have a lot to show. Mention one area that we can be found wanting. I think all round we've been excellent, quite impressive. But trust me, we're ending well, we're ending strong. And we're ending with the joy of our people at the back of our minds. So watch what will happen in the next 12 months. I think we'll close very well.
In Africa, as tensions rise between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, DCR, Rwanda's Foreign Affairs Minister Vincent Biruta has claimed a right to respond and to protect the security of his country, Rwanda. His comments come amid a recent resurgence of attacks from the M23 rebel group that has strained relationships between the neighbors. Biruta, who spoke at a press conference in Kigali, said if the attacks continue, Rwanda would have the right to respond and to protect the security of the country. To protect the security of its citizens, he also did criticize the measures taken by the Democratic Republic of Congo's government, which has included the suspension of flights by Rwandan flag carriers, Rwandan Air, and summon of Kigali's ambassador. Still in Africa, Human Rights Watch has called on the International Criminal Court (ICC) to investigate allegations of landmine use in 2019 by Russian paramilitary fighters in Libya. According to reports, new evidence has emerged from Libyan demining groups linking mercenaries from Russia's Wagner Group to the use of banned mines in Libya during an offensive by Libyan forces based in the east of the country. Attempting to retake the capital Tripoli from rivals militia, you would recall that the Wagner Group supported the offensive by the eastern-based forces led by Commander Khalifa Haftar, who also backed at the time by the United Arab Emirates UAE, Egypt and Russia. Haftar's offensive collapsed in the spring of 2020 when Turkey and Qatar stepped up their military support for their rivals in western Libya. Now on news from the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced that USA would send Ukraine more advanced rocket systems to help it defend itself. The weapons long requested by Ukraine are to help it strike enemy forces more precisely from a longer distance. Until now, the U.S. had refused the request out of fear that the weapons could be used against targets in Russia. Meanwhile, the German government has promised to send an air defense system to Ukraine, with Chancellor Olaf Scholz telling journalists that the IRIS-T system was the most modern German possessed and would enable Ukraine to defend an entire city against Russian air attacks, adding that he will provide tracking radar capable of detecting enemy artillery and multiple rocket launchers. Still on the foreign scene, the U.S. State Department has suggested that Washington is readying another aid package for Kiev. This follows the U.S. Congress's approval of an additional $40 billion in military and humanitarian assistance earlier this month. Still to come on our bulletin this afternoon, Emmanuel Dennis arrives New Jersey for Ecuador friendly. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on Spectrum News at this hour. I am Peter Bryan. And now I'm bringing you more stories on our business sins. Sequel to its development finance initiative, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has agreed to leave interest rates at 5% per annum for critical sectors and the manufacturing industries until March 2023. The decision followed the resolution of the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, to increase the benchmark interest rate from 13% to 13% from 11.5%. Increases of this nature often lead to increases in lending rates across the various sectors of the economy. The CBN said the 5% per annum interest rate is a form of subsidy for industry players who originally ought to pay an interest rate of 9%, but such rates may rise as high as 20% per annum at commercial banks. And still from the business sins, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NECPEC, is targeting the $2.7 trillion African market through the instrumentality of e-commerce. Speaking at the launch of Agogo Africa, supported by NEPC and the African Union in Abuja, the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Ezra Yakusak, said e-commerce has become a big industry as Nigeria is ranked 35th in the large market for e-commerce globally, recording a yearly growth of 42%. Speaking further, he said e-commerce was one of the fastest growing industries in the global economy, noting that the estimated yearly growth was put at 23% and the industry was projected to hit $27 trillion by the end of this decade. Reports say NEPC is willing to render support to individuals and organizations like Agogo Africa that presents viable options that would enhance market access for Nigerian goods and services from various sectors. And now to health, where the United States Embassy in Nigeria has said that the U.S. is not responsible for the recent outbreak of monkeypox in Nigeria. The embassy said the U.S. government will continue to lend its support and work closely with the government of Nigeria in response to the outbreak. An information specialist at the Public Affairs section of the U.S. Consulate, General Temitayo Famutemi, said this in a statement issued in reaction to claims that the U.S. government was using some laboratories under its control to spread monkeypox disease in Nigeria. The U.S. noted that the sponsors of such claims have also called on the World Health Organization, WHO, to investigate these laboratories, adding that monkeypox is not a new disease, nor is it unique to Nigeria or this region, having first been diagnosed in 1970 in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Meanwhile, through collaborative interventions, the U.S. government's agencies are working in Nigeria to support both national and state laboratories with technical assistance and funding. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization, WHO, has said that smoking cigarettes with plastic filters do not make them safer. According to the WHO, notwithstanding the marketing efforts by the tobacco industry to push cigarette filters as healthy, there has been no evidence to support the claim. The Global Health Body stated this in a statement released to commemorate the 2022 World No Tobacco Day, marked every 31st day of May yearly. The Global Health Agency urged policymakers to treat cigarette filters as what they are, single-use plastics, adding that the policymakers should also consider banning them to protect people and the environment. The World Health Organization reiterated that the products like cigarettes, smokeless tobacco, and e-cigarettes also add up to the buildup of plastic pollution, noting that cigarette filters contain microplastics and make up the second highest form of plastic pollution worldwide. And now to news from the sporting scenes, where the number of players in the Super Eagles camp ahead of the friendly game against Ecuador has increased to 21, with the arrival of another striker in the squad. According to the updates from the Super Eagles camp in the United States, Watford striker Emmanuel Dennis is the latest arrival for the friendly match. Emmanuel Dennis missed the 2-1 loss against Mexico on Saturday as Nigerians witnessed Peroserio's first game in charge of the Eagles as Desires scored his debut career goal. Leading the front line alongside Terem Murphy in the loss to L3, reports say Peseiro is hoping Dennis can bring more spark to the team's attack. Recall that the three-time African champions Nigeria are participating in these friendlies as part of their final preparations for the opening games in the qualifiers for the 2023 African Cup of Nations, AFCON. Meanwhile, Super Eagles coach Jose Peseiro has handed a late invitation to Valentine Ozianwafo for this month's 2023 African Cup of Nations qualifier. The Eagles are due to take on the Leon Stars at the MKO Abiola Stadium, Abuja, on June 9 before flying to Saint-Pierre to take on Mauritius 4 days later. The 22-year-old is expected to arrive in Abuja later this week as his inclusion in the team for the qualifiers further raises concerns over the availability of Ola Aina for the games due to the injury he sustained in training, Indexus tell us. On the entertainment news, music icon Innocent Idibia, popularly known as Tubaba, has spoken out following rumors that his marriage with actress Idibia is at the verge of a breakdown. This comes after reports that Annie had unfollowed her husband on Instagram, led to many to speculate on the status of their marriage. The African Queen singer, in a reaction post video via his Instagram story on Tuesday, debunked the rumors and asked Nigerians to leave his wife alone. Recall that the actress had cleared the air since the rumors broke out, saying a glitch on Instagram had resulted in the unfolding incidents noticed by many on the platform. Still on more from the entertainment scenes, popular Nollywood actress Iniedo has opened up about her experiences as a mother. The mother of one spoke in an interview with fellow actress Lilian Afiegbia on Tuesday. Edo noted that motherhood has taught her that she could actually love someone else more than herself. The Nollywood diva, who admitted to loving herself most, noted that after having a baby, she changed her standpoint. That's all we have for you at this time, and do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 2. I am Peter Bryan, thanking you for watching. Do enjoy the rest of your day.